Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto was exiled after he brought Sasuke back, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Hinata Hyuga walked down the streets of Konoha. In the last 3 months the citizens had come to fear her. The ones that feared her were the ones who abused and attacked Naruto Uzumaki, and she made sure they knew why. She didn't kill them. Crippled, maimed and terrorized on the other hand she'd been very good at. She and the spirit had sworn no executions without the consent of the Hokage. Hinata's eyes were white at this time and she carried a basket filled with herbs and some food she'd picked up shopping that morning. In the last 3 months she'd lived with Lady Tsunade and Shizune and her confidence had grown, and she'd learned a lot from the Hokage and Shizune in the ways of the medical field. She'd also managed to avoid her father since he burst into the Hokage's office. Flashback. The door opened and Shizune could be heard yelling, "You can't go in there." Hyuga stood in the doorway, his eyes filled with anger. "Hinata," he said, his voice the same cold tone he'd always used in regards to his eldest daughter. "Come here, now." Hinata looked at her father and before she could move he was sent flying out of the room courtesy of a Tsunade chakra-powered punch. "That is no way to speak to my apprentice Hiashi. And you were interrupting a very important lesson," Tsunade said and slammed the door behind him. End flashback. Hiashi had over the last 3 months sent branch members to fetch her back and each time they were beaten down by Shizune or Tsunade. Hinata stopped and checked a fruit stand. She smiled to the old woman. She remembered her as being nice enough to see fresh fruit to Naruto over the years and charge him the fair price. Hinata and the Konoha 9 had given her all their business. The business that Hinata approved of got the Konoha 9's, Team 10, Team 9 and Team 8 business, along with their senseis. The Konoha 9. Hinata smiled remembering her encounter with her former classmates and Guy's team. The only ones not there were Sakura, Sasuke and Kakashi. They asked about what she was doing. She told them in an even voice that she was enacting vengeance for Naruto upon those who did him wrong. Truly did him wrong. She told them of what she'd done to Sakura. She explained her vengeance upon the Uchiha was waiting till he woke. It was Kurenai who asked what she had done to Kakashi. Hinata smiled to herself, remember the last 3 months of vengeance on the copycat ninja. Flashback. After the book burning incident, Kakashi had become very paranoid around Hinata. He was jumpy every time she would come around a corner or he entered the Hokage's office and she was there. She always had a job for the newly demoted genin. Kakashi's jobs ranged from sweeping up the streets of Konoha after business hours, cleaning the local bathhouses, mucking stalls at a nearby farm. Hinata had him chase Tora while wearing chakra blockers, forcing him to physically chase the Fire Lord's wife's cat. Hinata smiled thinking of seeing the former Jonin twitch every time she spoke to him. Hinata paid for the fruit and turned to find her way blocked by her father and a pair of branch family members. "Hello, Hiashi," she said, not one stutter, just a pause before she addressed him. "You are coming with me," he said. "No," Hinata said as she calmly put her basket aside. She looked at the vendor. "Will you please send a message to Lady Tsunade, and inform her that Hyuga is trying to kill her apprentice?" Hinata turned back to her father. "I've learned a lot while being the apprentice to the Hokage. Tell me Hiashi, you do know what being an apprentice means, don't you?" She could see the muscles in his jaw twitch as she back-talked him. "You will show me the respect I am due," he snarled at her. "Then I am showing you too much, as is Hiashi. For you were never a father to me, and as the Hokage's apprentice I outrank you in position of importance in Konoha." Hiashi's jaw muscles jumped more and his eyes narrowed at her. "Quit posturing, you are coming home this instant. You have responsibilities to the clan." "I have responsibilities to Konoha and as Lady Tsunade's apprentice," Hinata countered. "You will return to the compound and stand as the caged bird seal is placed upon you. You will then assume duties appropriate for someone as weak as you," scullery maid. The 2 branch members shared a look behind Hiashi's back. "Hanabi has been named my heir." "Good for Hanabi, I'm sure she will continue to please you with her cold ways and selfish behavior that mirrors your own. And to think my mother loved you at one time. It is fortunate that she is in birth, for she would be ashamed how you and Hanabi turned out. Hinata said. Her skin paled slightly, but her eyes remained locked on Hiashi. The head of the Hyuga clan sputtered in outrage at how his eldest daughter was talking to him. She wasn't the spineless girl he abused for years. She was different and he blamed the Hokage for it. You will stand down and be sealed. Hiashi said with a sneer. No, Hiashi Hyuga. Hinata said. I won't. Hinata slid into a relaxed Juken stance, but Hiashi raised an eyebrow. It wasn't the one taught amongst the main or branch family. He wasn't familiar with the hand placements and scoffed. You can't even present a proper Juken stance. You truly are weak. Hinata's skin took on a whiteness and her eyes flashed with the Byakugan. The veins appeared around her eyes, but what had Hiashi stepped back was her eyes. They were black, pure black. So this is what the Hyuga have become since the days of Kenji and Halana. The cold voice from Hinata had Hiashi look at the branch members. Come great clan leader. Show me what you can do against a pure Hyuga, trained in the style that fits her and not the bastardized gentle fist you assume is the end all of your clan. Well, it will be the end, as I have seen this shell's memories and I find your lack of faith disturbing. Who are you? What have you done to my daughter? Hiashi asked. The cold laugh that seemed to ricochet off the surrounding buildings, chilled Hiashi to the core. Across Konoha, a former Jonin turned genin shuddered as he weeded a garden. I am Hinata, and Hinata is me. And I am vengeance. Elsewhere. Ha, 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 ha. The portly bandit laughed as he watched his men fight over one of the girls they'd captured in that small village. That's the ticket, boys. And if you can't share her, I'll take her for the night, more chortling as he looked over the campfire. Hurry up with my dinner, boy, or I'll s your tea. He told one of the prisoners that was wearing ankle chains and had been put to work preparing the bandit leader's dinner. The gust of wind went ignored. Shame that. Around the camp the few sentries found themselves suffering from an intense case of death. The wind blades SD through their NS and the air wrapped around them keeping them in place. A shimmering figure stepped along the camp, pausing and being lost if anyone had noticed it. Sadly the bandits were too busy drinking and intimidating prisoners to realize that several of their number were S and more were joining them. The caged wagon was guarded by two bandits and they found themselves S. One by the air smothering him, the other one with a kunai in his N. The B were lowered to the ground and the air shimmered as Naruto appeared before the wagon holding up a finger to his lips telling the women and children to keep quiet as he picked up the keys and after unlocking the door, started working on the chains around their ankles and wrists. Keep quiet. Head that way. He pointed. All the guards that way are S. He told one of the older women. But Genta and Ichi are with the bandits. One said. We'll get them. Naruto said. Just get going. He told them giving one of the women the crossbow a bandit had. Go. We'll catch up. I promise. One of the women nodded and they herded the children the way Naruto suggested. The blonde looked up and saw Micah balanced on the top of the wagon's cage. Out off so far, so good. Out off to left to rescue. You want me to, out of Micah signed. Naruto shook his head. Out off or I'll get him out. You worry about the bandits. Out of. Micah smiled as they crept along the tents. Bandits found themselves S from being espered or from the air slicing their TS or suffocating them. Once they looked at the center of the camp, Naruto nodded and made the hand signs. Cage BUNSHIN. He roared and 100 Naruto clones filled the area and went right after the bandits. Micah smirked as he used the air to lift himself into the air and saw the bandit leader grab the girl and boy he'd had serving him as shields. Bastard. The silver-haired youth thought as he sent several blades of wind into bandits and watched as they were SD in half. Micah checked on Naruto and saw the blonde was lost in the sea of shadow clones. I really need to ask him how he does that. The bandit leader yelled at his men to protect him and K the damned blonde. With a sword strike he watched one go up in a puff of smoke. What the hell? He yelled. Clone's asshole. He turned and saw another blonde coming at him, and he used a sword to swipe at him. The bandit staggered back and pulled the girl in front of him as a shield. Come any closer and the girl gets it. He warned the blonde. Naruto narrowed his blue eyes. Behind him he could hear the clones dealing with the bandits, and knew Mikohamaru was using his wind control to decimate the rest of the bandits that his clones had trouble with. How about you let the girl go, and I promise you'll get buried in one piece. Naruto said, the QB in his head warning him to be careful. How about I don't and you give up, or I her pretty little N. Naruto shook his head. He felt his clones disperse and knew that they had been successful. You're the last, Naruto said, and you're outnumbered. What? Your clones? They're all gone, kid. Look up, team. A voice said, and the bandit turned and saw Micah standing on the air above him with his sword aimed at him. The girl stomped hard on the bandit leader's foot and ran as fast as the chains around her ankles would let her. The bandit leader howled as the girl and boy huddled off to the side. Naruto stepped between the leader and the former captive and held his sword up in a two-handed grip. Micah lowered himself and had his sword aimed at the dirt at an angle before him. 2 on 1. The bandit leader said. Didn't stop you from attacking a peaceful village. Naruto said. Or stealing their hard work. Micah continued. The bandit leader pulled a short sword out and glared at the two youths. My name is Toru Kalani. You punks won't beat me. Micah snorted. Want to bet? Naruto shuffled his foot and focused his eyes on the Toru's grip and foot placement. Kit, he's a master. I've heard of him. Be careful, QB warned. I will Q, just fix whatever he does. Naruto thought. I can heal nearly anything, Kit, but don't lose a limb, or your head. The QB warned. Micah shifted his foot and he brought his blade up to block the first blow from Toru, who seemed to move rather quickly despite his size. Naruto lunged and found the short sword blocking his attack. Toru chuckled as he attacked both boys. His swords flashing quickly, but he was surprised that the boys managed to block. One would block and the other would attack, and they would alternate. He circled with them, his long sword arcing down, while his short sword blocked an attack from the silver-haired youth. Toru Kalani was a sked swordsman from Mist. He taught the sum of the 7 swordsmen before he left Mist in dishonor. He'd grown lazy and fat with his bandit army raiding villages over the years. He smirked and figured he could talk his way out of this. I'll admit, you ked my men. But how about you both join me? The 3 of us could build a whole new army. You'd be my lieutenants, we could rule the coast. Naruto growled and lunged. Toru managed to block the sword swipe and tried to attack the blonde, but his other sword was blocking the silver-haired youth and he got kicked hard in the chest, sending him several feet back. Both boys were attacking him before he finished rolling. He barely got his blades up to block the furious assault. You attacked men, women and children. You were going to turn them into slaves. Micah growled, his golden orbs flashing. You are a disease upon humanity. Naruto growled. The blades were a silver blur as they attacked from various angles. Toru was sweating. He'd allowed his SKS to decline over the years and was now cursing himself. In his prime he could have taken them, but these two were working like a well-oiled team and they forced him back with each attack. Toru ducked and spun despite his size, and he sent a flurry of swipes and strikes with a master's ease. He managed to get himself some breathing room. He saw a pair of his men coming up behind the 2 boys and grinned. I'm sorry, if you will not join me, then you will be destroyed. Toru said as the 2 bandits attacked. Micah spun and blocked one and Naruto ducked and rolled. Toru laughed as it was 3 on 2 now and they were trying to force the 2 boys back. One of the bandits was using a pair of kamas while the other used a pair of wicked-looking long daggers. The blades were shaped like waves. The 3 bandits worked hard, but Naruto and Micah were used to actually fighting as a team while the bandits were used to attacking in large groups. Naruto blocked the kamas and Micah used his wind to push the bandit back. Both boys ducked back as the dagger wielder lunged in, his arms pinwheeling trying to hit them. Toru was using the time to occasionally attack, but would duck back and let the 2 thugs of his crew attack. Mikohamaru groaned. He was focusing on his sword work and couldn't get the wind to respond right. Master Kwai says I need to focus, but can't right now. That's my big weakness. I should have kept back and in the air. Naruto was cursing the Kama user and he blocked one, only to have the other S across his stomach, shredding his shirt, and grazing the skin. Watch it, Kit. This one is scared. We can't back off or the kids behind you will get taken again. I know, damn it. We need some space, Naruto thought. Toru chuckled as he circled the fight now. Miz and Mori were worth their cut and he'd make them his top lieutenants when they rebuilt the group. He looked at the corpses of the bandits the pair had killed before attacking him. They do have some SK. Shame they have to S here. He watched as the blonde did a backflip and kicked Mori back. He made a hand sign and there were 6 of him now. Clones. He's a virtual one-man army. Toru thought as he turned his gaze to watch the silver-haired youth. He's got some weird power over air. Ms. better watch out or he's going to wind up S. Toru made a decision and slipped away. Cut my losses for now. Rebuild my group and work on the coastal towns again. I knew coming near the elemental villages would be bad news. As the slightly pudgy bandit leader slipped away, he knew he'd spared himself and he vowed not to come this way again. Micah ducked and Naruto or one of his clones rolled across his back and hit the dagger wielder with a roundhouse kick. Micah slipped around and saw himself flanked by 3 clones of Naruto who were attacking the dagger wielder with kunai. Micah looked over and saw Naruto and 3 of his clones wearing down the kama wielder. Micah nodded and espered the sword into the dirt before focusing his will upon the air. He cupped his hands near his right hip, his left hand over the right, a swirling vortex of chakra-enhanced air could be seen forming, think DBZ's Kamaha Maha. He felt the air build up and he narrowed his eyes thinking what the bandits did to the village that his sensei visited. The women and children they were going to sell to slavery or worse. The ball of chakra-enhanced air swirled faster and increased in size. Naruto meanwhile had created another pair of cage buncheons and was making a Rasengan, his sword was sheathed over his shoulder. Both boys unleashed their attacks at the same time. The resulting explosion, well let's just say that there wasn't anything left of Ms. or Mori bigger than a exploding tag. Naruto looked at the remains, turned around and threw up on a clone that made a revolted look before dispersing and returning the memory to Naruto who threw up again. Micah was on one knee gasping for air. He'd put too much into that attack and he knew it. His gold eyes scanned around for the missing bandit leader, but he couldn't find him. Damn, he got away, he thought. His eyes rested on the boy and girl they rescued and nodded. The pair raced up to them, the boy stopping near a heaving Naruto while the girl stopped several paces away from Micah. Can we go home? She asked. Micah nodded his head wearily. Let's get those irons off, he said, pulling a lockpick from his belt. He remembered the old days when he and Naruto would borrow from shops in Konoha. They had intent to return what they borrowed, eventually. He was sure it was on their list to do someday. Maybe when Naruto makes Hokage, yeah, that sounds good. Micah thought as he slowly picked the lock first on the wrist chains and then the ones on the ankles. Naruto was recovering and listened as the young boy who couldn't be older than 6 or 7 described the battle with enthusiasm that Naruto remembered once having when he first announced he was going to be Hokage. Why do I feel so old all of a sudden? King does it Kit. It ages one, not physically, but mentally and spiritually. You ked him and you were looking right in his eyes when you rammed that Rasengan into his chest. You powered it, and Kit, I wish I could claim it was me, but it was all you there. Kyuubi said and Naruto could hear the regret in the fox demon's voice. I know Q. I know, Naruto said and he looked at the boy who was still talking. The kid's hairstyle reminded him of a Hyuga, but the kid was a farmer and he was tanned and his gray eyes were eager. Let's get you home, Naruto said, standing up and picking the kid up and walking him over to Micah to get the chains removed. You okay, Kit? Kyuubi asked. No, but I will be, Naruto said as he looked at his silver-haired friend. The pair shared a look and they both understood without words. The 2 branch members were put down with single strikes. Their limp B crashed into a vendor's stall. Incidentally, this was a vendor that threatened Naruto with a butcher knife several times when he was looking for food. The stall was shattered and dogs raced in and stole the meat as it hit the ground. The merchant screamed at the animals, but most people were watching the Hyuga drama that was being shown to them all. Surrender Hiyashi, and you'll walk out of here with your life. Vengeance, Hinata said. The girl's skin was now bone white and her hair had taken on a blackness as had her Byakugan eyes. Demon, I will exorcise you from my daughter and then punish her for the disrespect she has shown the family. Hiyashi snarled, entering his own Juken stance. Kukukukuku. You think that you can stand up to us? Vengeance, Hinata asked, seeing an eyebrow. We have been trained by the god Hokage herself. You have been wasting away kissing the ass of a council that ked your wife and turned you against your children. How dare you? Hiyashi ranted. I dare a lot, fool. I have seen this shell's life, I watched everything, and things she might not have noticed, I have. Villagers were backing away as the king intent in the air seemed to thicken. Today the village was seeing Hinata the chosen shell for the spirit of vengeance. Today secrets were going to come out, and sadly, laundry day looked like it was going to be hell. Many of the villagers realized that they were screwed. The ones that had nothing to worry about cheered the young Hyuga on. Across a Jonan turned Jen and shuddered. I sense a disturbance in the force. He muttered as he shook the chill from his spine and returned to his D-rank mission for the day. Atop several buildings masked Anbu watched. They'd been ordered by the Hokage to watch only. They were not to interfere with Hinata unless she was losing. A purple-haired Anbu watched as the Hyuga head in the air circled. Hiashi is a fool. Can't he see that the style Hinata is using is stronger? Apparently not, as Hiashi attacked, thinking his daughter was still the same stuttering girl he used to intimidate. Hinata's chakra spike SD into Hiashi's palm and he screamed in pain as he saw a hole through his hand. What's the matter, Daddy? Did that hurt? Vengeance, Hinata asked mockingly. It's amazing what one can learn when trained in a proper style that's fit for them. Hinata's next 3 strikes had Hiashi on his knees, his wounded hand clutched to his torso that was bruised, his shirt torn from where Hinata had struck him. All could see the pale skin purpling from the blows. Several figures appeared at the end of the street. The Konoha 9 had arrived and they were seeing Hinata in a whole new light. What's going on over there? Ino asked as she was walking with the others. Who knows, it's too troublesome to worry about. Guess who? Neji paused, his Byakugan activated. He'd been dragged along by his teammates, no one noticing how quickly he'd given in to the. His eyes widened. Hinata, what about your cousin? Tenten asked from where she had an arm looped through his and Lee's. She told the others that it was to keep both boys from bolting. She's fighting Hiashi-sama. Neji seemed to choke on that and Ino grabbed Shikamaru and Choji and pulled them along. Kiba and Shino, who'd been with them, followed. Akamaru whined as they got closer. What's wrong with Yo? Whoa. Kiba's question to his partner was silenced as they watched Hinata put the 2 branch members down with 1 strike each. When did Hinata get that good? Neji's eyes watched and widened even more when she struck Hiashi. She's different. Most of them had seen Hinata in passing or for a quick lunch, but as the apprentice to the Hokage, they'd not really seen her. Yosh. Her fires burned brightly. Lee yelled, watching as the once timid girl struck Hiashi 3 more times. Neji winced as his Byakugan saw the damage those blows were doing. He'd been warned by Guy-sensei about provoking Hinata. He wouldn't. He'd been on good terms with his cousin since his defeat at the hands of Naruto during the Chunin exams. But he saw why Guy seemed worried. Team 9 had been worried about their sensei over the last few months. He hadn't been his usual self. The Konoha 8 looked on as Hinata spoke to Hiashi. They were too far back to hear what was being said, but they could feel the king intent from Hinata from where they were. Akamaru whimpered and burrowed into Kiba's jacket. The Inuzuka looked on. She's different. Akamaru says the vibes from Hinata remind him of that Gara kid from Suna. Shino was silent, but his bugs were telling him that Hinata was the same in many ways, but there was an aura of power that wasn't there before. Choji ate a couple of chips, his eyes watching the once timid girl trounce her father, who they knew used to verbally abuse her at every opportunity. Shikamaru sighed and muttered troublesome, but his eyes were taking in the information and he was compiling questions to ask the Hokage. He was Chunin and it was his responsibility. Being responsible is such a drag. Shikamaru thought as Ino stood there wide-eyed. The 8 of the 9 watched their last member and knew that she was different and they were worried what it meant. Amazing Hiashi. I thought you wanted this shell to be stronger. But I see that was a lie. You were never pleased with any success she had. You always beat her down, mentally, verbally, and then you used your other daughter and the branch members to do it physically. Vengeance, Hinata said as she ducked under a wild strike from Hiashi and she lashed out, hitting his arm 3 times. The once regal-looking robes he wore now were hanging on by threads as her chakra-powered strikes tore them from him, and left the skin underneath blackened by bruises. When Naruto-kun comes back we shall change the Hyuga for the better. I'll K that damn demon before I let him touch you. Hiashi said. You could hear a pin drop in Konoha. At the end of the street Neji winced. He'd read Hinata's and Hiashi's lips and knew that was the worst thing his uncle could have said to Hinata. Tenten felt him tense and leaned in. What happened? She whispered in his ear. Hiyashi threatened to K Naruto after Hinata informed him that she and Naruto would change the Hyuga for the better. He has just sealed his fate. The Hyuga male said and looked on as Lee put a hand on his shoulder and tightened her grip on both of them. Back with Hinata, she stepped back and her black eyes seemed to blaze with passion. Her cold voice became even colder as her hand lashed out and she grabbed Hiyashi and her hand splayed out over his temple and face. Think Vulcan mind meld. So many secrets, Hiyashi. She said. You knew the Kyuubi was coming. You had branch members there attacking it, Danzo, Orochimaru, who is the one in the robes, Hiyashi. Sorcerer. Hinata's eyes became lidded and she pushed power into her search. Hiyashi went to his knees in pain as his daughter possessed by vengeance dug through his mind faster than a Yamanaka. Power. You stupid fool. You betrayed Konoha for power and covered it up. The Hyuga Council knew, mother. Hinata broke contact and staggered back. You monster. Hinata's skin became flushed and her eyes flickered between white and black. You ked mother. You had her ked to hide your dirty secrets. Vengeance, Hinata said, the black eyes becoming darker and veins around the eyes hardening even more. You were responsible for Naruto-kun's pain. You had branch members tell the villages about Naruto being the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. You told merchants to refuse him service and paid them for it. You call him demon and monster, it is you who are the monster, Hiyashi Hyuga. I see it all now. The Hyuga clan are a disease. I see now why Itachi did what he did. You and Fukuga Uchiha wanted him to assassinate Naruto-kun. He refused and Fukuga ordered his death. It backfired and Itachi ked his clan to protect Naruto-kun from them. Gasps were heard around the street. The Piper was coming and it was payday. Vengeance. Hinata's eyes looked around, her black Byakugan eyes landing upon Neji at the end of the street. Neji Oniazan, return to the compound, take Hanabi, and the branch members along with Manami-chan of the main house and go to the Hokage Tower. Her eyes went to Hiyashi who was still on his knees. Hell is coming, Hiyashi. A cleansing of the Hyuga is the only way I see. The corruption runs deep into the old generation. It is time to be a phoenix and the Hyuga rise from the ashes of your deaths. No, Hiyashi said through the pain. His eyes scanned the crowd and saw the Anbu watching. KKK her. Shush, she broke the third's law. He said. The cat-masked Anbu held up a hand and shook her hand. As the Hokage's apprentice she can speak about it, Hyuga-san. Hiyashi looked around for a way to escape. His head turned back towards Hinata as her hand slammed into his forehead. People watched in shock as the back of his head blew off and his brain slammed into the street, severed from the spinal column cleanly by the chakra strike from Hinata. Vengeance served. She went and picked up her basket as if nothing had happened. She walked towards the end of the street where the other rookies were frozen in place. Neji and his team having left after Hinata gave her instructions. Hinata paused and looked over her shoulder, her skin color returning to normal and her eyes are gray now. Consider your actions. This is your one and only warning. You mistreat Naruto-kun again, and what I've done to Hiyashi will seem like a Midsummer Night's Dream. Hinata looked at the rookies and sighed. Anno, I suppose I have some explaining to do. When they said nothing but stared at her, she sighed. Let me drop these off at my apartment and deal with my with the Hyugas. But you're a Hyuga. Ino said, breaking out of her shock. No, I haven't been for some time, but maybe someday I will be someone else. Maybe someday I'll be an Uzumaki Kazama. Hinata thought, and she could hear the agreement of the vengeance spirit in the back of her mind. As she walked away from the remains of her father, already planning what to do with the main branch of the Hyugas who mistreated Naruto and betrayed Konoha, the remaining rookies looked from the brainless corpse of Hiyashi as he knelt there, the back of his head blown out. They wondered what had happened to the sweet stuttering girl they all knew. It was Shino who turned and followed his teammate without a word, the others taking a bit of time to catch up. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.